Can be more excited to be starting our season, and to have a game in a couple days is just awesome. It's obviously it's been a long time since we've played, and there's just so much going on. But I can tell you, this team has been so much fun to be around. Just they love each other, they care about each other, they're really competitive, and it's just a really fun team that I couldn't be more excited about for this season. Obviously, our strength of schedule is another really good one. And we'll just have to, keep going and continue to get better and have a lot of fun, because that's what this season is all about. It's about, obviously staying safe, healthy, caring for each other, but also just loving the game and just having a blast playing. So that's kind of our main focus, but couldn't be more excited about it.
All right, hey Jennie, I'll start it off with the obvious one. Lost a great senior class. How do you replace that production that you lost in the newcomers?
Yeah, it'd be nice to say, you know what, we have 2 more people coming right in and stepping right in, right? But or 3. But honestly, I think the biggest thing about this team is we're a team, and there's not going to be one person that's going to come in and replace anyone. The beauty of our system is that it's the same system, but yet it looks different with different players in place, and so their skill sets get to kind of shine through it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Team basketball. We'll have a lot of balance in terms of our scoring. We'll have a lot of balance in terms of our minutes played. I feel really good about our entire team. We have a mix of our guards are experienced, where in the past our forwards have been more experienced. So it's going to be fun to kind of see that kind of shift a little bit as well. But no one's going to just come in and all of a sudden step into roles that have previously been. It's going to be a team effort, and it's going to look a little bit different, but it's going to be a lot of fun too.
What are your expectations for Grace coming in, and then how difficult was it having to, redshirt her during the second half of last season?
Yeah, my expectations are probably really high, probably way too high, as they are for everyone. But no, Grace has been, she's really good. And I don't mean that just in terms of her basketball production. I think she's a great team player. I think she's a communicator. She hasn't played in a basketball game for a long time. It would have been nice to have had some exhibitions, or we had a 4 tour planned and all those kinds of things, or even playing last year. But at the same time, things happen for reasons, and you can't dwell on it. You just have to stay present and be able to just enjoy what you're doing right now and know that there's reason for it. So in watching her growth, it's been pretty awesome. She's very versatile. She's really fun. And you can see her just expanding, and it's going to be really fun to watch her grow throughout the year as well, from not playing in a basketball game for a long time to stepping in and playing on Wednesday.
How much do you think she'll be able to help with that transition of kind of filling some of those big gaps that you guys do have from last year?
Well, I think there's a lot of gaps, and we've had that in the past. We had that, the first time our first 2,000-point scorer graduated, and it was who's going to fill the gaps. And our team always does. Our team always finds a way, and this program always finds a way. And that's what I love about that. But, make no mistake, Grace is a good player, and she's going to be a great player. And so she's going to impact this team, and so is everyone on the team. That's the beauty of this team.
Last year, you pretty much had most of the time a set 5 for your starters. You kind of knew who they're going to be. You had multiple stars on your team. Do you have a 5 set in mind to start, or is this a team that could see multiple starting lineups?
I think we could see multiple, and I think we're going to play a lot of people. We've always played a lot of people, but there have been years where we've played really high minutes with a lot of people, and that's what this year is going to be. And everyone has to be ready. I mean, look how fluid every team is right now. I mean, we're watching, football teams where you're seeing, 4th string so-and-sos playing more than they would ever play. And so that's that's just the reality of this year. And so it really fits to the system and the style of play that we've had for a number of years in terms of playing a lot of people. We believe in our depth, always have. And everyone is going to play and everyone's going to make an impact. So I think that's, do we have a set 5? We will by Wednesday when we play in our first game. But I can see we're playing a lot of people, and a lot of people deserve to start, and that's a really good problem to have.
You do, Jennie, in every preseason camp, there's always a player who's made a quantum leap from the season before. Is there anybody that jumps out in your mind that from when you finished playing last year to now has really surprised you with their progress?
I don't know, Larry, necessarily if people have necessarily surprised me, but I do feel like we've had a number of people really step up in the offseason. I think both our guards in terms of, Maddie Monahan, you've heard for years, and she's constantly gets better and better, and she's probably been really overshadowed. I think she's one. I think Kira Collier's one. I think she really has another element to her game. I think Hannah Fuller really has. I think Hannah Fuller is, she's been our everyday competitor. I mean, she has not taken a day off or a playoff. And then I think from an inside presence that it's been really fun to watch Monica Burrich really grow. You got to see some glimpses last year. And so I think that's been really fun to be able to really watch her game develop as well.
Jennie, you mentioned the kind of the reality of the situation we're in right now. How has it gone for you in trying to stay safe, trying to stay healthy, and how do you navigate that as you're getting ready to start a season where it seems like every week it's kind of we'll see what happens?
Yeah. Well, as I know, that's how virtual school goes too, and you got a lot of things going on at home too. So, and I mean that in the most chaotic kind of ways. But honestly, and you guys are like the only ones that even see my face, right? So it's constantly covered with a mask, and it's constantly, I think sometimes the players really appreciate that because they don't get to hear everything I'm saying or thinking, and sometimes they don't. So, you just have to. You just really try. And I know it sounds cliche, but we have always done that, of really tried to live in the moment. And if we get to be together today, then we get to be together today. And that's kind of been our motto. And whatever we do have today, we've got to give everything we have. And it's not a cliche, the season could go away. Yeah, it could. We know that there's that reality. But if we live in that, we're not going to get the most out of what we can today. So there's also an understanding that we might only get today, right? That's your point. And you watch all these different teams and the impact that everything has had. But I will say Drake has done a phenomenal job in terms of our administration, in terms of putting us in positions to be safe, to be healthy, and for our players to be able to step on campus and to be able to really do a great job in terms of their training. So I think they feel really safe. I think they feel really cared for and taken care of from an administrative perspective. And now it's up to us to continue to do the best that we can possibly do and continue to stay safe, healthy, and, get to play basketball.
How much are you going to lean on those 2 starters that you have coming back, especially early on in the season?
Well, I think anytime you have experience, you want to lean on it, right? And so I feel like we've really leaned on our entire senior class. And then you put Kira in that as well because she does have some experience. But we've really put a lot on our senior class. So we've got a 6-year senior, a 5th-year senior, and then we have 2 4-year seniors. So you've got Maddie and Hannah, you've got Monica, you've got Maya Mertz. So there's a lot of experience in that class. But also really great leadership qualities. And so they're great team players, but they're also great leaders. They do a great job of calling each other to a higher level and challenging each other. And they're very outspoken. They come every day and they talk and they work. So I probably put more on the entire senior class to keep the chemistry going. Because it's also a crazy time in terms of, normally we get to spend time together. We go to meals together. We do this together. They have fun at each other's houses and they get to spend all this time outside of their sport. Right now they don't get to do that. And so that's been a challenge. So we've had to get really creative to be able to develop our team chemistry because team chemistry has always been our thing. And so that's something that we've had to get really creative in that avenue, and we've really leaned on our senior class to do that.
Jenny, does it feel
Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
Oh, Jenny, I was just going to say, the past few years, you guys have always been maybe the preseason pick to win it. You've always had these expectations on your shoulders, like, hey, we should be in the big dance, we should win the conference tournament. This year, with you lost all those seniors, the expectations may not be there. How do you navigate that as a coach to, I guess, motivate the kids to say, hey, maybe we're not picked as the best team in the league, we need to prove something a little bit?
Well, outside expectations are never the same as inside expectations. So our inside expectations don't change. And what that looks like, maybe, people may understand, maybe not understand. We've never sought out and said, okay, this is how many games we want to win and this is where we want to go. But we do talk about maxing out, and we do talk about bringing our best and being able to just completely sell out to the system and to each other. And that's when I know we're really successful. So I don't really care as much about the outside expectation. I think we've done a really nice job of just kind of embracing the target for a number of years. But I also don't think anyone's going to not think that there's a target on our back when we go and play, because we've had it for a number of years. So we'll be ready.
I was going to ask about, we know what your normal road trip to Creighton would look like because of your precautions. I imagine everybody wears a mask, but is it still one bus? I mean, how is it different than the normal road trip to Creighton?
Yeah, travel will be, will change significantly, obviously. So a normal road trip, we would go the day before. We're not doing that. So we'll try to, minimize as much as we possibly can in terms of outside exposure. So we'll stay home and then we'll drive up tomorrow. So that will be something that's completely different. So we'll have to get used to that. There's different protocols in terms of seating charts on buses, and we'll wear masks, and that's one of the nice things I think that our administration has done, is they make those decisions for us. And so that's not something we have to necessarily do. They've invested in some technology for us to wear, so we know, how close we are to people and things like that. So those are the kinds of things, I think, from an administrative standpoint, that they're putting us in positions to be able to play this season. And so that's something that's been really nice, and things that we don't have to focus on, and we just have to listen and do the best we possibly can, which isn't always easy, Larry. I know that's where your smile's coming from, but we do.
Hey, Jennie, you talked about how the expectations are always big for everyone on the team, but I wanted to get your thoughts specifically on this year's junior class, because this is an experienced group. I mean, Allie Woldridge has been playing a lot of minutes over the years, and this could be really a year where she takes that step up. And how about Maggie Negard, who really got a lot of experience last year, and you throw that in with Kira Collier. I think this junior class could really be, I guess, kind of that X factor kind of group this year for you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think they've done a really nice job of being upperclassmen. I think they've done a nice job of showing up every day. I think they've done a nice job of some production in terms of practice. We haven't played in a game. We haven't even been able to play in an exhibition or anything. So you don't really know what the game lights are yet. But at the same time, I'm really excited about that class. And I think Kira Collier has done an incredible job of really leading us in this summer and really in the spring, in terms of her intensity in some of the plays and her ability to communicate on the floor and off the floor too. But that class is a really good one. There's a lot of talent in that class, and it's going to be really fun to be able to see this year.
And then I guess another one for me, I know there was the press release last week about the non-conference schedule, which I know trying to put that together is a whole nother deal. But once again, it looks like a really good group of teams that you'll be playing like it is every year. But kind of touch on the non-conference opponents that you'll be going up against, and only 2 of those games will be at home, it looks like.
Right. I was going to say we'll be on the road quite a bit. No, and that's the really interesting thing about this scheduling, right? Is it can change in a heartbeat. One team can have something happen, and then you're trying to scramble to find another game. So we do have another game that we could schedule. We're hoping one of our home games right now can be an exhibition game. But we'll see. And so we're trying to navigate through a lot of that. But at the same time, the philosophy that we have is that we always want to go up against really great teams and really great competition, because that's how we feel like we can get better. If you go in and you're trying to win games, that's a whole different deal. But when you're going and you're trying to get better and compete at a really high level and see what you got, I want to see the guts that we have. I want to see how hard we can play. I want to see how competitive we are. I want to see our team chemistry right from the start. And so those are the things that's why we're going to schedule the way that we are. We also really tried to keep it as regional as possible. And so when we can keep it as regional as possible, then you're a little bit safer, a little healthier in terms of how we're going to travel. And so those have been some of the things. And so we're lucky to have these high quality of teams in our region. And so it's awesome for our sport. It's great for women's basketball. But we couldn't be more excited to get going after our schedule too, because we know there's not going to be a day that you can take off.
Jennie, because it's such a weird year, the emotions for you going into this, in that you mentioned there's no really non-conference and you're replacing so many great starters. As a coach, is there a sense of a little nervousness, but also a sense of excitement kind of mixed together where you don't really know what to expect, but it's kind of both those areas?
I think, honestly, John, when everything started happening, I think the nervousness was, okay, are we going to get to play? And then you don't care. You really don't. And you want everybody to be safe, you want everyone to be healthy, and you just want to play. And it's not even me that wants to go play. I watched what these women have done. They've shot outside, they've worked out in their homes, they've had to make their own weights, they've had to figure out how to get in shape somehow, some way. Maggie Negard was talking about how great it was that, she finally could shoot outside. She's from Wisconsin. So, that was cold for a really long time. When the first time that she stepped in the gym in June, and she's like, there was no wind blowing my shot anywhere, And so it's those kinds of things. It's how much that they took outside. So it's all of that. You found your love again in the driveway, right? Or you went to a local park because you didn't have one, and then some of them didn't even have that. And so you're trying to navigate through all these things. So the fact that they've gotten to be here, the fact that the decisions that they're making outside of basketball, they don't get to go home for holidays. They don't get to see their family and friends. They don't get to do anything other than get here, play with their teammates, right? And sometimes we forget that. They don't get to then just go home somewhere. They're in this bubble, which can be amazing, and sometimes it's not. It's like when we're all stuck at home. Like, sometimes it's awesome and sometimes it's not. And so for them to be able to navigate through that and actually go play another team because this is their passion and this is their love, that's why. That's why we couldn't be more excited. That's where I'm not nervous at all. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch those lights go on. I'm excited for them to have fun playing. I want them to smile. I want them to play hard. I want them to be disciplined, yes. But all that other stuff, if my nervousness overtakes it, I'm taking it away from them. And they need to just go play because they love it.